Hello, I'm Jim Campbell with Gooseneck Implement.
Hi, I'm Aaron Walsh with Gooseneck Implement.
Today we're going to talk to you about the 412R that we have behind us. This is a model year 22. In this configuration, we are quite honored, Aaron.
Yes.
This is one of 4 in the United States in this configuration. We've had the opportunity to run this several times this year and covered thousands of acres with it, and it has something we wanted to share with everybody out there. So with that, we'll go ahead. This is, like we said, the 412R. This is a 4 series sprayer. This is going to be a direct replacement for the R4044. And the 12 signifying 1,200 gallon tank. So we did go away from the metric system because we're just not really that good with it. Yeah. So stick with the standard.
We do have a larger frame, the 6. We don't have that with us today, but the cab, it looks new, Jim.
So the cab is new, Aaron. The cab is new going forward. This is the same cab you'll see on the 8s and 9s. One of the huge benefits in here, right, is it is quieter.
Yes.
But even more importantly,
we got a swivel.
We got a swivel. We can swivel both directions now. We got 22 degrees of swivel to the right and the left, which anybody who does a lot of spraying will tell you, big deal.
It is. It's so nice to be able to look back at that boom and just be able to see how good of a job we're actually doing.
Yep. Moving on, this does have command drive. This command drive is now available on the smaller series sprayers.
Yep.
Has worked out tremendously well for us.
It's worked really good. I mean, we've had plenty of power, and it really cuts down on the noise, being able to use that.
Yep. By setting it down at that 1,300, 1,350 RPM
Yep.
range, you can easily take a Bluetooth phone call in there and not have any problems hearing anybody
Yep.
or them hearing you.
And we have no problems getting up hills. So.
No, it'll ramp up if it needs to.
Yep. Moving on.
Moving on. So as far as the rest of the sprayer goes, as far as their chassis, fill, tank, wheel motors, that's pretty much a carryover from the 44 series.
Yes.
So that really isn't too significant. What we will say is significant is moving back here, our boom. Everything we're going to talk about today really is on the boom.
Yep. So first off, what we're going to talk about is Boom Track 2.0.
2.0, that's correct.
So we changed, the sensors changed right here. What it's allowing us to do is look out further than what we have present today. And they changed to a black sensor. We have 5 of them on this boom. And Jim's going to talk about another added on piece that we have down on the other side of the boom there.
That's right, Aaron. And back here in the middle of the boom, we have an Inertia Measurement unit. Right? It's a new sensor, new going forward for the Boom Track 2.0. It's right in the middle of there. And what that will do is that actually measures the chassis roll, which we haven't ever been able to do in the past. Right?
No.
So it will really speed up our Boom Track. And we've seen it actually work considerably better than previous models. So with that, we're actually going to move around the back side of the boom, because realistically when we start talking about our next 2 features, these are features that really can see a whole lot better from the back side of the boom.
Jim, the boom looks different.
And that's correct, Aaron, because the boom is different. So this is obviously the steel boom. Now, what you'll notice here is the way we plumb our sections is different now. And this has the pressure recirculation and the product reclaim feature, which is going forward is new.
Yes.
We have got to use it a lot this year and found it to be exceptional, solving a lot of our problems that we've currently had in the past with traditional R-Series and exact apply sprayers.
Yep.
So how this works is in the past, those of you that have R-Series sprayers, we had supply coming in and it would feed the middle of each of our sections. Product would come in, feed our nozzles, and away we went. And as you can see, now we've got product coming in and we're feeding the ends of our section. So what this does, right, this is the recirculation part, and we'll cover that one first. It's a little bit different than the reclaim. Yep. But the recirculation part, when I engage my solution pump, I'm going to start flowing product through each of my sections back out, back to tank. So in essence, what we're going to have, right, Aaron, is we're going to have product flowing from our solution tank through each of our sections back to solution tank. One of the big problems we always run into is that our agitation keeps product in our tank mixed up. The problem is that once it gets to the boom, in the past, it just sits there. And we all know that if chemical, and if it sits, it falls out of suspension, and then we have problems with our nozzle bodies not working.
Yep.
This will certainly help that immensely.
It's going to be huge, and the neat part with the system is we still have agitation in the tank, but it's almost like we have agitation now out on the booms.
Yep.
And Jim hit it right on, because it's going to help us so much, and just getting that stagnant and having those chemical burns or just not effectiveness of the chemical. So
Exactly.
it's worked out really good.
Yep. So as far as the recirculation, that process of how it works, when I start the sprayer and I engage my solution pump, it will start up and I will immediately start recirculating product all the way out to every section, all the way to back. Once I start spraying, the recirculation stops, because we really don't need recirculation
not at all.
for spraying.
It's flowing.
So once I stop and I were to click my master spray off and my solution pump is still running, after 2 minutes, recirculation starts up again. And we'll do so folded up.
Yep.
Right. So we're constantly wanting to move that product so we don't have it fall out of suspension.
Yep. And the way we get that, right, there's a 3-way valve, which we'll show you later, and that's allowing us to be able to do that.
Perfect. Now, the other half of what the system and the plumbing will do for us is the reclaim part, the product reclaim. So right now, by our owner's manuals, we know everybody out there is probably following the owner's manuals to a T, and we're rinsing these R-Series Exact-Apply sprayers every single day.
Right.
I know we are. The problem that we have and the complaint that we've gotten is that every time I want to do that, Aaron, the product that I have in my booms, I got to throw it on the ground. I lose it, and it's wasted money. It's wasted chemical.
It is, every time.
Right? Deers hurt us. We've been complaining about this for a while. Deers hurt us. This is what we've got. So now we have product reclaim. So go ahead, Aaron. Tell us how we're doing this.
The cool part with the way we have it plumbed now is that we can actually add air into the system, push all of our chemical back to our solution tank, and now we have a dry boom, which is really neat, because now, first off, we're saving costs on chemical and we're not dumping it just anywhere, right? Which is just really, really nice. So then what I can do after that is I can grab rinse water from the rinse tank, clean rinse water, flush my system, and then I can do an air purge, blow it out, so now I have a clean, dry boom for the night or whatever if I'm switching chemicals. The neat part, Jim, is did I have to leave the cab?
I didn't leave. I'm still in the cab when I did all of this. And by the time I'm all said and done, from the time I start my reclaim process till I've actually got my clean, dry boom, like Aaron said, we're looking at about 10 minutes.
Yep.
That's all. And I still haven't left the cab.
Yep. And I think if we can be rinsing these like the operator's manual says daily, I think we're going to see a lot better results on issues and headaches that we've had with Exact-Apply.
Absolutely.
So, Jim, what are these triangle brackets? And I see a bunch more harnesses on this spray.
Excellent. Before we get to that, 'cause I know that's a little teaser, the product reclaim, this is something that is going to be orderable on new sprayers.
Yes.
Right? It's also something for those of you that might have an older sprayer, model year 18 and newer, we can retro this onto your sprayer as well. Only on
so that's
steel booms.
one of the things, right? We need steel booms, need Exact-Apply, and the auto fill to get our reclaim. So
Exactly.
and we're not able to do it on direct inject.
Right. Still not compatible with direct injection.
Yep.
So now, we hinted at it. Big news. This is See and Spray Select. And what you can see here, and we're kind of showing them on the ends because it's easiest to see them here. These are the See and Spray cameras. There are 36 of them mounted all across the entire length of our boom. Each camera controls 3, 2, some of these cameras will control just one nozzle body. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to use these cameras to see green material on our field, and then we're going to activate the appropriate nozzle body to spray for it. That's the See and Spray Select.
That's the part that has made this system really beautiful, is that we can just shut it off and go right back to a regular sprayer.
Yep.
So there are some parameters though, right, Jim? That
So
we
yeah,
have to
so
stay
with
in?
See and Spray, there are some parameters that we have to run in order for See and Spray to work. So number one, let's talk about it, right? We're limited to 12 miles an hour travel speed. Boom speed, by the way. 12 miles an hour. Okay? That's number one.
Yep.
Number two, we have a boom height restriction, right? So
Yep.
See and Spray will operate from 20 to 47 inches off the ground.
Correct.
Those are two that we really do have to adhere to. The nice part is the settings for See and Spray. There's really three major settings,
Yep.
right? So let's talk about the three major settings. Let's talk about number one. Let's talk about the overall sensitivity.
All right, so we have a sensitivity that the nice part is these settings that me and Jim are going to talk about, we can do those all in the cab on the fly.
Yes.
We can adjust those if we need to adjust them. But anyways, we have a sensitivity of 1 and a sensitivity all the way up to 5. And that is of plant size, right? So
Yep, it's all based on plants.
my 1 is a good
I'm looking
size.
for a real big plant, and then number 5, I might be looking for those really tiny little plants out there.
And the beauty, right, is we can adjust that. We can also, we have talked about this a lot and tried it, right? If we don't know that this size of plant, can we hit it? We can wave it in front of the screen, in front of the camera, and see if the technology picks it up or not.
Yeah, so we know how small we can go with it.
Which is beautiful.
Yep.
So the next thing that I'll talk about quick is we can either have it so that individual nozzles turn on, or we can do overlapping, Jim. So if we want, say there's a little bit of a side breeze, right? And the weed comes in right here, we can turn on this nozzle body and this one in an overlapping setting, or we can just do single. But the beauty even with single is if that weed comes in between two nozzle bodies, she's turning both on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the third setting in there is really if this nozzle has to turn on because we have a weed that's going to be crossing in front of it, the system we can set up to tell how long do we want that nozzle to turn on. Right? And it's set up in there as small, medium, and large. So basically, in round numbers, it works out to be 2 feet, 3 feet, or 4 feet. Right?
Pretty simple.
So in the small setting, it's going to spray for a duration of 2 feet on the ground, or 3 feet, or 4 feet, small, medium, large, respectively.
Yep.
Now, we talked about the parameters that we have to operate in. One of the other settings that you have in there is the fallback mode.
Correct.
Right? So fallback mode says, if we work outside of those parameters, what do you want me to do with that nozzle body? Do you want me to, and I have two choices.
Yep.
I can either spray with it, or I can turn it off. Right? So if we go too fast, what do you want me to do? If I raise my boom too high, what do you want me to do? That's the fallback mode.
Correct. There's one other thing that we wanted to cover quick is See and Spray, it does need to be some light, right? And we talk about that. So it's about half an hour before sunrise, half an hour after sunset. We actually were able to run pretty long days. So
yes. Yeah, we didn't have any problems with that other than we did run into one day. We were running quite late and we had a dark cloud that came in, storm rolled in. We did get shut down that day, but other than that, we didn't have any problems with that. The See and Spray worked tremendously well. We didn't really have any issues to speak of.
No, worked really good.
So
Jim, when I walked by, right there, I saw this mat.
yes. So let's talk about the mat, right? It's easy to see. It's
Elephant in the room.
It is the elephant in the room. So if we were to knock a camera off, wreck a camera, replace a camera that's faulty,
Yep.
we would have to actually roll this mat out, and you can see we have a chain on the end which matches up to a spot. And then we can do a calibration of the camera locations, because that's essentially what you're doing. The camera will read the QR code and basically tell the system, hey, I am L23 position, or I'm L22 position. Now from factory, it comes already calibrated. So there's nothing to do. And after the thousands of acres that we've run, Aaron, have we ever had to do it?
No, we have not done it at all. So it's been really, really nice.
Yes. But we thought we'd roll it out there so you can see. I know the question that we've gotten in the past was, well, how far do these cameras look out? And you can see from where the boom is at, which is represented by the green, the QR code, that's where those cameras are looking. It's about 3 feet in front of the boom. And they're constantly scanning.
Yep. So, yeah, the calibration, I mean, to be honest with you, we just haven't had to do it.
No.
Which has been great.
It's worked fantastic.
Yeah. All right.
Absolutely. Well, we can move on down, and you can see, for those of you that have seen the booms of previous past, right? You can see we got a little bit more plumbing in here.
And all of a sudden you'll see a camera. But
Yep.
to be honest with you, they're hidden pretty good, which is good.
That's kind of why we wanted to show you what the end looked like.
Yep. So, Jim, I know we get the question, right? How much savings am I going to save with this See and Spray?
And that happens everywhere we go. And currently right now, if you were to read the publications that exist out there on the internet or wherever, you can see that I believe the number that's been thrown out there is 77% on chemical savings. If you read the fine print, it's also based upon a population weed density.
Yep.
Right? So what did we find, Aaron?
Well, what we found was, yeah, that's true. 77% is true. We can actually do better, Jim.
We found some fields that we actually did much better on than that.
And also on the other side. I mean, what we talked about on the settings can change from that 77 to 80 or whatever to a lot less.
Yep.
The settings, the weed presence, right? I mean, that's a huge deal of how many weeds I have out there.
Yes, exactly.
And then also density of weeds.
Yep.
You know, if we have them, you know, one on top of the other, or depending on how far apart they're spaced, we might be spraying a lot more.
So like what Aaron's talking about, weed proximity to each other. So if you imagine one of the settings we talked about was the small, medium, and large, right? So if it turns on and it sprays for 2 feet or 3 feet or 4 feet, we'll say we want to make sure we get everything right. So we're going to set it to our large setting. We're going to spray this every time it needs to for 4 feet.
Yep.
Well, if it sees a weed, and then within 4 feet it sees another weed, it's just going to keep spraying, right? It doesn't shut off. So that's where we can actually change our settings to probably mirror our weed presence, proximity, a whole lot better of what we got in the field. But the lesson to be learned really overall is to answer the question, can I save 77% on my chemical savings? We really can't say yes or no.
Yeah, and I really think, like what Jim said, it's your settings. It's, you know, like the year we had this year was different, right? I mean, very dry, cold at the beginning. The weed presence wasn't there right at the beginning, so.
Because we've had fields where we've done all of 77% and more.
Absolutely.
We've had fields where we've done less. The real question is, what's your weed density in your fields, and what's proximity from weed to weed?
Yeah.
That's the question that needs to be answered.
No, it really does, so.
Yeah.
So one thing, as we're walking down, you know, we're going to get to, you know, there is a question, because when you were on that other side and you look at this boom, one thing that kicks out very noticeable is these gray boxes, Jim. I mean, you saw them on the other side, and it's like, what are those?
Those are
not
new,
in my last
right?
sprayer.
We haven't seen those before. So these are our IPM. So all of our cameras will come back, and that's what these little brown connectors are for. So all of our cameras will come back to these 12 IPMs that we have on the boom. And this is where the processing hub for all of that video is fed through.
Yep.
So, and you can see they got lots of cooling fans. They do get hot. So,
but in all honesty,
what the IPM is.
The acres we ran, we didn't see the problems that initially maybe we thought we would see, right?
Yeah, we worried about
well.
chaff, and maybe would we worry about fire possibly?
Yeah,
I mean, they get
right.
pretty hot, but we didn't see any of that.
No, went
Didn't have
great.
any issues that way.
So yeah, we just wanted to point those out because
people have asked, what are all silver boxes? Now you know what the silver boxes are.
So as we move over here, we're gonna point out that three-way valve that we talked about, recirculation and that reclaim. That's the driving force that's helping us, and that's right in here. And then also right here is where the air is added to whether to reclaim or when we push out the product. So
Exactly. Yep. After that, honestly, I think that pretty much covers what we wanted to do today. So perfect. So we'd like to thank, both Aaron and I like to thank everybody for attending today, watching the video, checking out what we did. It was quite an honor for us to run this limited of sprayer. So thank you. If you have any questions, you certainly feed in more to the question and answer session. If you have any questions on some of the products that we had, please contact the local dealership. Anybody, any of the salesmen there would be more than happy to help you.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
We're going to be going through the combine.
Yep,
so.
2 o'clock. They'll be going through the X9 and the HD50R head. So please come back, join us then. Thank you.
Thank you.